It's that time of year again.
Everyone loves a good spooky story. Some of the most iconic stories of all time are based on horror. We all know them, okay? Freddy, Mikey, Saw. However, the problem with those mentioned alongside the majority of spooky movies released today is that they're made for, marketed to, and viewed by adults. I'm here to ask, where's the love for cartoons? I want more kid-friendly horror, and partly because I'm a pussy, but also just because I think there's a gap missing. And yeah, I know there's already a bunch of popular ones, okay, Beetlejuice, Scooby-Doo, Casper the Ghost. Hell, Tim Burton alone pretty much keeps this entire subgenre alive. But where are all the underrated cartoons? I know most shows back in the day had some sort of Halloween special, but I want something more than that. I want something that fully embraces the spookiness year-round. So that's exactly what I'm here to do in this video. Okay, this really hurts my head. Holy crap. This thing is so tight, it doesn't even fit. I've chosen 3 cartoons that I think are actually well made, yet for some reason mostly forgotten. The type of shows that when you see them, you think to yourself, holy shit, I kind of remember watching that as a kid, maybe? Each one of these shows basically has a different spooky charm to them. Will you know all 3? Anyway, without further ado, let's just jump into it. The first spooky cartoon is called Martin Mystery. This is on the list because every episode has spooky themes, and despite airing on TV all the time when I was a kid, I don't think I've heard a single person talk about the show after the year 2008. Anyway, in the episode I'm watching, it actually is Halloween night. This girl is in a store looking for a costume to buy. This is obviously a horrible idea because if you've ever been lazy and waited to buy your Halloween costume last minute, like I have, you know the only things left are seemingly random costumes. Like, oh, here's a hot dog costume. I'm sure the ladies will love that one. So she can't find anything worth wearing, but she does find a golden medallion necklace. Not sure what her costume could have been with that. Maybe a lazy bitch who forgot to buy her costume on time. I don't know. Anyway, she puts it on and something spooky happens. We then cut away and meet our main characters. Martin, who's the main guy, Diana, who's the smart one, and Java, who talks and looks like a caveman.
Java no fine costume, all too small.
Everyone's trying costumes on when the gang finds a secret portal which leads them directly to Nerve headquarters from Evangelion. This is a normal thing for this show, just trust me. We then meet Billy. He's an alien thing. I forget if he's really all that important, but I will mention that he's dressed like Martin for Halloween. How cute. Anyway, if you haven't guessed by now, this group of teenagers are actually like spies or something. They basically solve a bunch of spooky mysteries. Think Scooby-Doo, but if M. Night Shyamalan directed it. So, a worse Scooby-Doo. The gang gets debriefed on what happened at the costume store. Apparently, the leprechaun guy is in the hospital now. El Bozo. The gang then makes their way to the shop where all this happened, and it's creepy, I guess. They all act freaked out, but honestly, all it is like some pumpkins laying around. I guess that's scary for kids. I don't know. We then get an insanely terrifying jump scare. In honor of Halloween and being in the spooky spirit, I'll be using this as a jump scare at a random point in this video. You have been warned. Anyway, the gang checks out the shop and realizes this weird purplish goo oozing from the wall, and Martin, being a very highly skilled detective, does the logical thing. He dips his finger in and has face sex with it. Turns out the goo is just blackberry puree, so no one's getting sick just yet. But it is unfortunately the end of their investigation since there isn't really any other clues at the shop. That is, until they decide to go visit the leprechaun man in the hospital. So we jump cut to this place and it's completely abandoned. Not really sure where everyone is. It's also completely trashed and vandalized. It reminds me of the opening shot in The Walking Dead, except that show had an actual reason for it to be abandoned. Anyway, the leprechaun guy is the only person in the hospital apparently, and turns out he's having a huge manic episode where he sees everyone as their costume. So Martin's dressed up as a baby, right? And the leprechaun guy sees him as an actual baby. Pretty scary stuff. The gang finally calms him down though, and he explains what happened to him in the shop.
A customer bought a necklace for her costume. It was like a whirlwind, an evil banshee sweeping through the shop.
And then all of a sudden, a giant bird swoops into the hospital and starts attacking everything it sees. But luckily for the gang, Java has 9 million GSP in Smash Bros. Ultimate.
Falcon Punch!
The bird is extremely strong, however, so the gang decides to just run away. Also, they just leave the leprechaun man in his bed, like they run away without him. They don't carry him out or anything. Fuck him, I guess. We get an epic chase scene, and then after a while, they lose the bird, but sadly, leprechaun guy has disappeared. If only Mr. Beast were here, he could cure schizophrenia. We then get the big reveal. The girl from the beginning is evil now because of the medallion around her neck. She was also the bird. I think. Turns out she's brainwashing people to make chocolate. Anyway, she gives out some of the chocolate she's making to some trick-or-treaters, but as the gang soon finds out, if you eat the chocolate, you actually become what your costume is. So now there's 3 demon zombie kids just running around doing bad things. But of course, because silly cartoon is silly, Martin accidentally eats some chocolate and becomes a little baby.
Little baby man. Little baby man.
It's weird how the zombie kids physically turned into what they were wearing, whereas Martin is just like acting like a baby now, but fuck it, it's a cartoon, who cares? Diana decides to call Billy from earlier, and since he's already in costume as Martin, he's just gonna act like Martin for the rest of the mystery, I guess. They find out what's going on with the chocolate and play out a home invasion to stop the bad people from making more chocolate. But it turns out that the amulet thing is actually possessed by a witch, and she's super powerful, so she's about to kill everyone. But then, in the most anticlimactic creative decision of all time, Billy just grabs the necklace, and the witch just disappears. There's a little more to it than that, but I'm just gonna end it here, because honestly, it's just funnier that way. The episode ends with a gang all in costume going out to trick or treat. How spooky. Now I know what you're thinking. Darzii, that wasn't even that scary. And yeah, you're right. It is just a kid show, after all. But before you give your final thoughts on this, let's just look through the other two cartoons. Hopefully, there's no jump scares this time. The second show we're watching is called Tales from the Crypt Keeper. This aired in Canada, the US, and the UK, so you might remember it. It's an anthology cartoon series based on a live action show, which was, like, actually pretty fucked up. So we start our episode with Julia. She's the main focus of this episode. The entire story here is that she finds herself really ugly and just wants to be prettier. How relatable. She's talking to Marty, who plays a very small role in this episode, but he's easily the realest motherfucker in the history of cartoons.
A natural beauty.
Oh, they're natural beauties, all right. After about 5 hours in makeup and 3 hours getting the lighting just right.
So Julia's obsessed with trying to look perfect, and in some weird transition thing, the narrator of the story, who's represented by this green zombie guy, basically says, be careful what you wish for. I wonder if that's what this entire series is about. Anyway, we're at school now, and Julia is sad because she's looking at the popular kids, and they're all beautiful or something, I don't know. The popular girl comes up to Julia, which gets Julia excited because this could finally be her moment. But turns out she just wanted to drink some water, and Julia was standing in the way.
What up? I'd like to get a drink. Duh. Sorry.
As if you'd ever want to talk to her.
I mean, really. Did you see how she looked?
Serious question. Does anyone actually know anyone like this? Like someone who's actually this self-absorbed? It's such a Disney villain personality. Like, does it even exist? Anyway, Marty says it's okay. I think you look good. And Julia activates her rage mode and gets angry because she doesn't care what Marty thinks. She wants to impress the popular people. Gosh, Marty, you're so embarrassing. Julia once again giving incels around the world a reason to hate life. Julia leaves and tries to make her way to the mall so she can buy some beauty cream, which, like... Don't you have class to go to or something? Why are you leaving to the mall? However, instead of the mall, she ends up finding this new store in town, and of course, it's owned by the narrator guy from earlier. He gives Julia some cream, she takes it, and then he closes the shop with this scene.
You will have to pay for your choice, one way or another.
Pretty sure most people I know want to be better looking, so I'm not really sure what's wrong about this. Anyway, later that night, Julia is seen putting the cream on, but then we get a spooky moment as a bunch of random spiders move closer to the cream. I'm shivering. This is so scary. It's the next morning now, and Julia is actually just like a lot prettier. Her mother notices and asks if she's wearing makeup today, despite having like a completely different bone structure just 12 hours prior. Julia goes to school, and everyone just loves her now. And now I have to show you this clip because it's actually just too funny.
Hi, Julia. Hi. Morning, Julia. Good morning.
Hi.
Julia, hi. Hi.
So now everyone is paying attention to her. She's getting invited to all these parties. Every compass is pointing north towards her for some reason. The moral of the story being that being good looking is life's greatest cheat code. It isn't all good though, because not only do the people like her, but animals do too. On her way home, she's chased by a dog, a cat, a swarm of deadly hornets, that sort of thing. Anyway, she's home now and applies even more cream before going to bed. And now is when the spooky stuff starts. She wakes up, pretty as ever, but something's a little off here. Turns out her room is covered in maggots, spiders, and other bugs. If you have a phobia of this stuff, this could actually probably freak you out a bit, especially if you're a kid, Jesus. So Julia goes to find her parents, but the house is just completely infested with insects at this point. Julia runs out the back door and crosses the street into a graveyard. Of course there's a graveyard. Julia finally realizes that the cream is the reason everything loves her and why all the bugs are coming out. So she tries to take it off, but she can't. The trees come to life, snakes show up. Everything is making their way to Julia. After rubbing and tugging, thankfully, she finally manages to take the cream off. So everything just disappears. They're all gone now. Everything is safe now. Or is it? So it turns out that the last part was actually all a dream. Or maybe the whole episode was a dream. I honestly have no idea. Julia is done with all the beauty stuff, so she throws out her magazines and the cream. Moments later, we see the popular girl actually finds it and takes it out of the trash. I guess she's gonna use it despite already being content with how she looks. So that's weird. And then we see the narrator laughing or something. It's kind of creepy. And that's the second cartoon. Are you spooked yet? Again, not the scariest show, but in my opinion, the scariest show so far. Don't be disappointed yet, because I have a feeling that this last one actually might be very scary. It's time for the final cartoon. This one is called Over the Garden Wall. If you never heard of the show, let me preface this by saying this is easily the best made cartoon on this list. This episode begins with our two main characters, Gregory and Wirt, who's voiced by fucking Frodo Baggins, by the way. I'm not gonna go too much in detail about the backstory here. Wirt is very sad and depressed, and Greg is just kind of a happy kid. Out of nowhere, at the beginning, we get a little mini spook as a random tree falls down in front of them. They wonder what's going on, and we find out that the woodsman is the one who cut it down. Turns out this woodsman is voiced by fucking Christopher Lloyd. Doc, that's you? Anyway, Greg and Wirt get scared by him and try to run, but the woodsman has an important message for them.
Listen, the beast knows your presence, ready to claim you.
The boys don't trust the warning though, and just run away. Was this a good idea? Well, the shadowy figure behind the woodsman might prove that it was. Now the boys try to find a place to wait out the rain, which is when they find an old broken down house. The perfect place. Nothing could go wrong. They get inside and light up a bunch of candles, which is when an unsuspecting guest enters the house. Well, actually, it's just the owner of the house. She's obviously a little confused and wondering what's going on.
Who are you? We're burglars!
No, we're not.
But the conversation gets cut short when the nice lady explains that they need to hide quickly because Auntie Whispers is arriving soon. They hide in a barrel and Auntie Whispers enters the house.
Hello, I'm Luigi, and I'm here today to tell you all about puberty.
The boys look extremely terrified. Like, imagine watching this at 8 years old. I would have had many nightmares. We find out that the nice girl's name is Lorna, and she's clearly a prisoner or something.
Has anyone come here today?
Nay, Auntie, not a soul.
Auntie isn't fooled though, because she can smell something new in the house. So she pulls out a magical bell thing which forces Lorna to tell her the truth. She asks where the new scent is coming from, and then this happens.
Your doom. My dear, why all along you meant it'd be the turtles that smell so bright.
Thankfully, Auntie Whispers just assumes that the turtles in the basket were what gave off the new scent and goes upstairs and off to bed. We then get a kind of happy, nice scene thing. The boys get out of the basket and help Lorna clean the floors. Wirt low-key flirts with Lorna and suggests that they should escape together. There's this cute little musical moment.
We found each other like strangers, you and I.
Before this moment can properly end, Greg was being an idiot and woke up Auntie Whispers. Nice one. Now this is a spooky moment with intense music. Auntie says to stay away from her Lorna or else they'll get gobbled up. But obviously they don't believe her. So they lock themselves into a dark room together, and then we get a very eerie scene. You see, Auntie Whispers isn't mad at them. She's begging them to come out. She doesn't want them to get devoured. Auntie says if they don't get out, bad things will happen.
She will devour you.
What is she talking about?
Turns out Lorna was the evil one who eats people, not Auntie Whispers. Way to profile someone, asshole. The boys jump out a window head first and try to run away, but that doesn't mean we don't get some absolutely crazy nightmare fuel.
I'm sorry, my turtles, but I must escape.
The boys are cornered in a lake. Whatever will they do? Well, it turns out the frog that Greg has actually swallowed the magical bell thing from earlier, so Wirt shakes it and commands the evil spirit to stop being bad. And that just works. I guess. Not sure why Auntie Whispers didn't just do that in the first place, but yeah, there you go. Spirit no more. Lorna is back to normal and everyone is happy now. Family and friendship is all anyone needed. However, Auntie Whispers has one more thing to say.
And a bit of advice. Beware of my sister Adelaide. She must not be trusted.
Wirt is still kind of depressed despite saving the day, and then we zoom out from them and see the shadowy figure from earlier plotting something inhumane. He's with the woodsman and tells him that there is only one way this story can end, and he will get what he wants. And that's it. That's the end of the episode. All 3 spooky cartoons done. All of them spooky in their own special way, some more than others, but it's not a competition. I think the one thing I realized while making this video is maybe scary cartoons don't need more representation. Maybe the classics are classics because they've always just been good enough. So whether it's eerie, silly, or downright terrifying, there's something for everyone out there, and that's what matters. All 3 shows are bangers, and I'd recommend watching all 3 if you have the time, unless you hate bugs or ugly people. If you like this video, please leave a like and comment. I have a bunch of other videos just like this. Go check them out. You'll love them. Paula Abdul scores this one a solid 3 spooks out of 3 spooks. And yeah, happy Halloween.